What's up, everybody? This is Andy Morales alongside with Leon and Angela Murray. Welcome to another episode. I'm excited today. And Leon, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's been a long day, but moving on beyond that, I am looking forward to part two with my dear, beloved, awesome friend, Tara Caribou.
All right.
Welcome back to Unraveled Influence.
Yeah, yo, you really like, okay, wait, I'm struggling not to say this. And then Angela, how are you?
Great. Actually, this is what I found really interesting is, Andy, this is like your part 3 with Tara. This is Leon's part 2 with Tara. And this is my part 1 with Tara. I'm super excited.
Wait, part 3? Wait, where is there a part? No, we have 2 parts. This is all 2 parts.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I think it was just something you had done prior to us starting. I think I'm extrapolating that because you had prior relationship with Tara Caribou before, right?
Well, yes.
Well, Leon, yes.
Well,
Leon, yes. Not me, yeah.
Then I flipped the names. I'm so sorry. But Tara could have said it all straight.
No, it's all good. You know what's funny? I only knew about Tara Caribou because of Brandon White. Brandon, if you're listening, congratulations on your book. But yes. And also Greg, if you're listening.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying too. Like Greg and Brandon, they both credit this amazing publisher and writer creator Tara Caribou, for helping them start their whole thing.
Yeah.
Including me.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. And Tara, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to talk to you guys again. I really appreciate it. I didn't scare you off the first time, so.
Nah, it's cool. It's cool. No, it's like I always tell people, this is an honor and a privilege to do this. And it's like we were saying, it's like what we were talking about before we started recording is the fact that, despite the stress I deal with in my life, I think the main thing is when I'm home with my wife and my son, or if I'm doing this, whether it's community or podcast, this is the few things in my life. And Jesus, of course, I can't diss Jesus. That's the new shirt, by the way. No, those are the things that keep me, that's the main things that keep me sane, is being with you guys, breaking bread and just having a great conversation. And hopefully this, becomes a great thing. And I really think it will. So, this keeps me sane, of course.
Yeah, I had some really, really good feedback. I mean, surprisingly, I was really surprised at how many people reached out to me, because I thought, like 3 people will listen to this.
Oh, no, Tara, but, it's been way more.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I had a lot of people reach out to me privately and on my website and stuff, and it was just really cool. And I was just like, wow, this is such a cool thing you guys are doing. It's such a honor for me to be able to come and talk to you again.
No, honor is definitely ours. And I remember when I first, again, like when me and Leon was first, this is before Angela even joined us, but when me and Leon was first, when I told, okay, dude, I need you to be my co-host, just having that whole conversation, I said, okay, if we're gonna do this right, let's definitely do interviews and stuff like that. Who do you? And it's like he always kept saying your name, so it just made sense. And like I said, I've heard nothing but great things about you, and it's just to think like, wow, here we are having a part 2 of the conversation. It's just like, wow, this is a great way to connect with other people. Even people who we don't even know yet that eventually will be on here. So it's good. I like how the expansion is, the direction is going to, I guess, because we had CC Flow on here, and then, which that was just crazy. Then I had, someone that I used to work with, Kay Salas recently, and she was just finishing the beauty pageant for Miss USA New Jersey.
Finalist, Miss USA.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just the possibilities are endless. And I don't know, it's just awesome. Just have a conversation,
And I want to say this, Tara, as of this recording, your interview, both on Spotify and YouTube. I'm not sure about the other platforms, but I do know for a fact, both on Spotify and YouTube, that your interview is actually the most watched interview out of all the other interviews.
Yeah, this is
Oh,
true.
wow.
This is true. Yeah, like if you go
That's
on the
incredible.
views, yeah, you have around 44 views on that. So this is pretty interesting. Like, wow, like,
And on YouTube,
So-
you have 55, I believe.
yeah.
Oh, wow. So people want to hear about Tara, and they want to hear from her and everything that she's got going on.
This is
So-
true. So less about us and more about Tara.
Well, I think it's all about us and her and the community. Because I've always been a fan of yours, Tara, ever since like Annie and I. We always got into this conversation because 2019 into 2020 pre COVID shutdown. I started my poetry time then, and I had always been such a fan of you, your work, your photography, and then also how you have connected so many poets and writers to things that they haven't even imagined. Like Greg really brought up in his interview last week how he was like, he just happened to reach out, and your connection to him is what drove him, and now he's got a second book out this week. So
Yeah.
how does that happen? How do writers usually contact you?
It's like with you guys, very organic. Really, a lot of times what I'm finding is because I'm a true believer in telling the truth, and so I'm very honest with people.
Yes.
If I don't like their work, I won't say I hate it. I just will say, well, it's not for me, because everyone has different, but if I love somebody's work, I just tell them, and I'm very honest about it. Like, it moves me, or I like the imagery, or, wow, this is, that could be written, I could have written that sort of thing. Like it's that close to my heart or whatever, but I'm just very honest with people. And sometimes I see someone, I'm like, man, I just really wish they could get more people reading their stuff, and I just try to encourage people. And I usually will say something like, hey, is there anything I can do to help you? And then sometimes now I think I've had one or two people where I specifically reached out and I said, hey, I want to publish your book. We're going to do this. And they kind of like, really? Huh? But for the most part, it's just that, I guess, because I'm authentic with them and they can see that, they, give me a chance or something, I guess. I don't know. But I always tell people, I'm like, hey, if you want to know what it's like working with me, I encourage you, reach out to any of my authors. I don't care, if they said don't work with her, then at least they're being honest with you. You're going to get a real answer from them.
Wow.
As an educator in my real life, feedback is super important. And feedback is, as a student myself, I've found grades to be emotionally attached. So feedback feels emotional, but feedback is actually very important in order for people to get better in their craft. It doesn't matter where any writer is at right now. They can continue to work and practice and research and get better. And I think your honesty is what helps people become better writers. Leon, you said that you had a prior relationship with Tara. Like, how did that organically happen?
Well, Leon's muted, so there he is.
I'm back. I'm sorry.
This guy, this man. Come on, man. Stop being late, man.
Yeah, I know. I am fashionably late. Well, no. Anyway, so the way me and Taylor connected, I believe we've known each other since 2018, 19. And
it would have to be 2018, I think.
Yes.
Or maybe even 2017, but 2018, I would say.
And I forgot who connected with who first.
I never remember that. I never ever.
It depends on the situation. I remember some things, but it's interesting how sometimes,
Andy?
yeah.
And I'll remember the minute, the second, the day, what you were
right. No, yeah, but no, depending, like when it's very impactful, I tend to remember that. But you know how sometimes when somebody's impacted your life, it's like so we forget. Okay, wait, how did you meet? Like you ever met someone you're like, Dad, I don't remember exactly how we met, but I'm glad I met you kind of situation. I've had so many of those as well. It's like, but certain people like Angela, I definitely remember because this all started from a post. It's funny because when I first met my wife and we were friends, all this started with, hey, I owe you a quarter. That's literally pretty much how this whole thing started. And then here we are, 10, 15 years later, now we're married. Like, it's so crazy.
Aw, that's a great story.
Oh.
You have a quarter.
Exactly. I owe you a quarter because we were trying to play pool. That's what it was. And, you know, it's $1 to put quarters in to play pool. And I'm like, yeah, you have a quarter. I owe you a quarter. And then the following time I saw her again, I was hanging out. I said, hey, here's that quarter I owe you. And she looked at me like, it's just a quarter. I'm like, no, but it's all about money. Cause I was poor. I didn't really have money like that. So to me, it's like, I would want someone to do that for me, even if it is just a quarter, even though I don't really care if people give me back my quarter. But it's just one of those things like, here, I owe you a quarter. I don't know. It's just a great impression type thing, I guess.
I don't want to go out in this world owing anybody anything, no matter what. I hear you.
Oh,
it's a character thing.
But yeah, so
how was your organic
Instagram? I know
so,
it's Instagram.
Me and Tara, we did connect through Instagram, and I believe like as she read my poetry, I read her poetry, and not just her poetry, but her pictures versus, you know, my art pictures. We just created like a bond together, and then a couple of years later, she had put this project together called the Poet Symphony, and she had told me about it. I believe I was probably one of the first people she had told about it, and she told me that she had contacted other artists and that she really thought would be, you know, a great addition to the book. And I'm like, oh,
I wanted the art, because you were doing, because you do the photography, and you were doing that whole series of your living canvas out in nature, and of course and everything, and then you were doing your dancing and this other stuff, and I was just like,
I forgot about the dancing.
Exactly what I wanted. I love, and that's what I'd always be like. I always liked it when you do his dancing, because it just made you feel good, you know.
And you know what, I gotta say, she was always like one of the very first. Whenever I made a new dance video, literally, I was always looking forward to Tara to comment, because she was always one of the very first people to comment, and I knew if she was gonna comment, it was gonna be something special.
Show off.
And if it would go too long with a post, I'd be like, hey, I need more of Leon in my feed here. Come on.
You know what's you know what's
we need more Leon.
You know what's yes. You know what's
always.
You know what's interesting? I don't know if it still happens on Instagram. Remember back in the day when you follow someone, there was also the option to see more of them. I feel like even if it's there, it's like, do people still do that anymore?
It's a little different. Yeah. You can make them close friends and just follow close friends. That's about as best you're gonna do.
How accurate is the close friends? Because even when I used to do the close friends for a little bit, and it seemed like even with the close friends, it's like, oh, okay. It's like all they see is they just look. They'll see that it shows that they saw your post, but they don't comment, or they don't like that. I find that very interesting with Instagram. I don't know what it is or how we fix something like that. I don't know. I'm just rambling. I'm sorry, guys.
I don't think they still do that, do they? I thought that they did away with that.
Well, with the like if you look at your stories, if you swipe up, you can see like if you see there's a thing that you can swipe up, and then you see all your stories. And it'll see who actually saw it, who actually liked it, and stuff like that. But it seems like that's all there is now. It's just likes, or just it just sees that you saw it, but no one really engages in commentary and stuff like that. Do you think? I guess in your eyes, my question to you is: has that affected you in a way where you always wonder what it is about that? Is it because people don't want to talk to each other anymore? Like, what do you think it is? In your opinion, of course.
Oh boy. I think it's a combination of people being super wrapped up in their own selves. That's a huge, huge problem, not having that community mind. It's a lot of, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. So, and just, I don't know. It's this last few years, it seems like it's really shaken a lot of people up out of, either they've got sunk deeper into some pretty narcissistic habits, or they're like you guys, totally going the opposite direction, saying, you know what, we've been too wrapped up in ourselves for too long. We're just gonna.
I agree with you on that one. I think you summed it up all perfectly, and I think that's why I felt like, okay, I mean, obviously it's going to take work, but I know eventually, I think that's our end goal, is just, okay, let's start interacting again. But I get you, but I don't want to get off track.
Andy,
and your keys are rambling.
I'm sorry, Thanks, Mandy. Can I add something to that? I think part of the issue too is we are in such a high media advertisement. I'm going to call it casino culture, where
Yes.
our brains are wired and we are feeding our own, neurological impulses with the things that are working on the Instagram. They're built for this. So the narcissistic tendencies are human. Like, we are humanly wanting to look in the mirror, and try to look, stunt out for everybody. But also part of it is we are actually subconsciously feeding into that as well.
Absolutely.
So with Andy coming together with conversations, we can break that. By having the conversations. And I think I've really been interested, Tara, I'm really interested in your opinion and thoughts, because I know you're out in the more wilderness area in the country, even though you're across, not in the 48.
Pretty much the North Pole, let's just be real.
Come on now.
I've really been passionate about the ones that are doing the open mics, not just necessarily virtually, but the ones that are holding local community and trying to pull community members in and sharing the work in that kind of, I'm going to call it like a cafe open mic style. Do you get a lot of that out there, or is that more difficult? Do you find there is a local artistry scene where you're at?
In terms of writing, not in the way that I see people, especially like on the East Coast. It seems like I see a lot of people.
Nashville's got it. Tennessee's really working. I feel like everybody needs to get on board with what they're doing in Tennessee, because there seems to be a whole network of poets that are trying to get people together, and community, not just poetry people, but audience. I think that's where we're struggling, is we all are writers. Where are our audience?
I mean, where I live at, of course, I'm super rural, but it's kind of a joke up here in Alaska, because we have so many artists, not just writers, but painters and just like artisans, any kind of artist that you can think of. There's just a super high amount of them. And I mean, I remember in the 90s there was a coffee shop we used to go to, where people would do their open mics and stuff like that. But they don't have their open mic nights there anymore, although the place is still there. But it's not like they don't exist, but it's definitely not to the quantity. I mean, people, you got to understand up here. I mean, for me to go grocery shopping, to get to the closest like town that has like a couple grocery stores in it, it takes me an hour to get there, to drive there. That's on the highway doing highway speeds.
So you got to plan groceries out a while in advance, because that would be definitely a hike.
Oh yeah, I'm a once a month shopper myself.
I bet. Oh wow. We gotta talk about that.
So you got to understand that coming together, to do things now. Obviously, the majority of people in the state of Alaska live in the city of Anchorage. So, in the cities is different, but the rest of us, we don't have the opportunities. It's just we're all spread out. I don't have any neighbors. I can't see them, they're around.
See, that's my ideal situation. I would love to be out in the wilderness with no neighbors. That sounds
well.
Awesome.
I'll tell you what, I choose to live this way. I've lived in the city. I've lived in the States. Yeah, I very purposely choose to live like this. I think anyone can live a certain way. It's what you choose to do.
But if it gives you peace of mind, that's good, right? Like, I mean, because sometimes that's what we need. Like, my brother, I originally lived from New York. My brother moved to Fort Worth, Texas, and he feels like he's gotten more peace of mind and more, just pretty much more at ease in some parts of his life than he wouldn't have been able to in New York. And I think me moving to New Jersey, even though I'm not that far from New York, but the area, it's a little bit of everything. Like, you get somewhat of a main street that has the stores, but then everything else is mostly suburban. It's parks and stuff. But like I said, I can actually go outside in my house. Let's say if I'm in front of the porch, let's say for example, and I can actually enjoy just enjoying the peace and quiet. Now, I don't like too quiet. That's the only thing I don't like about Bayonne. It's too quiet that even when I sleep, I gotta have some kind of noise. Like, I'll have my Alexa play like rain sounds or something like that, just so I can have some kind of noise. Because too much quiet and silent. No. Oh my God. You know what's crazy? My wife actually said to me one time, oh yeah, like when she used to live in, I forgot, was it Prospect Park or something? No, or I forgot the area, but it's like down Coley Island somewhere. She said, oh, because she used to live where the trains are at, so you hear the train. She said she loved that. I can't. That's too loud. That's too much noise. Especially if your apartment is literally right in front of the train tracks and you hear that track every night. Hell no. Too much.
Leon, what about you? Are you gotta have noise, or are you a nature quiet kind of guy?
I'm in between, actually.
You're like John the Baptist. Let's be honest, bro.
No, because like where I live, I do live in like literally live on basically Detroit city limits.
Okay.
Yeah, I live on Detroit city limits, and you know it's not too noisy because I live in a small town like right now, but it's pretty much Detroit. Because literally, if I like go out my house and then make a left, I'm in Detroit. So I mean, I just call Detroit, even though it's called a different town. I'm like, no, I live in Detroit. If I go down the street, I'm in Detroit.
No, I get what you mean, because that's how it is in Chicago too. There's Chicago, and then there's South Chicago Heights, and then there's North Chicago Heights. But at the end of the day, it's still Chicago. It's just they just have these like parts of it, which I find it very interesting.
Right. And so, but with me, so it's in between. I wouldn't want to live in a city where, I mean, I do like city life to an extent, but then also at the same time, I want to like live at times. If I had it my way, if I had the money and everything, I would just basically for 3 months, I would live out rural in the wilderness, but a place where I could basically just have like, it'd be like a retreat, and I could have like basically all the necessities I need, like all the fruits and vegetables would be at my
oh my gosh, Leon, good, because this is where I wanted to go with this.
And like
There's two things. No, go finish your thought, because I want to go with two things with Tara and everybody else around the table. Two ideas that you just gave me.
Okay, and I could have it at my dispense. I would have at my dispense. I would have all the trees and all the herbs I would need, and all the like clean water I would need to live off of. And yeah, and during that time, I would spend time just like in nature, or I would spend just writing, reading, working out, or what have you, or just fellowshipping.
Like John the Baptist, right?
Oh my God.
Well, all right.
Because he was like that. You can't tell me that's what he was. John the Baptist was eating grasshoppers and stuff.
Yes,
right,
locusts
wonderful.
and honey. Yeah, eating locusts and honey. Yeah.
No, we're in the topic. We're not losing it. This is perfect.
No, because this is where I wanted to go with this. Two things.
Okay.
The reason that we were talking about like our preferred living situation is obviously a lot of our writing is inspired by just our daily existence. So one, like, are we in our right spots or places where we're supposed to be in order to help our own creative mind? Like Tara, I think I would totally transplant to right where you are, because I would just be completely inspired by that backdrop of that in complete isolated nature backdrop. And then two, my second question was, and this kind of goes along the lines with being locked away somewhere for, a retreat. Bringing up, Aaron Rodgers, he went away into that dark house for a couple of days to so I want to know two things. One, do you think your home life and your surroundings really are affecting your creative mindset? And we'll go around there. And two, would you be interested in going to a dark house retreat like Aaron Rodgers did to come out the other side with some sort of fantastic process?
Well,
that's pretty good.
Yeah. So what do you guys think?
Well, I don't know. I write differently now than I did when I lived in the city, for sure. But I am very, very inspired by my surroundings. And so I do think that does sort of come into play. And like, I even noticed this, like with Leon and his art, the more like in the summer and spring and stuff, when he's really getting outside a lot, I notice he writes and creates a different type of an art than he does in the winter time. And it's really obvious with him. So I don't think, and he's definitely not the only one. I don't think I'm the only one.
No.
I think that, your seasons and, exactly getting out, getting away from your normal everyday and setting that special time aside. I don't know what you're referring to about locking yourself into a dark house or anything, but
so did you hear
for
what
a
Aaron
writing
Rodgers
retreat.
Wait, well, I don't even know who that guy is. I'm gonna be honest with you. I have no idea who that is.
Yeah.
No idea.
Oh gosh,
No
sorry.
idea.
Am I the only sports fan on the phone tonight?
Yeah,
Yes.
my father was a
Yes.
baseball fiend. He played baseball, he played softball, but I'll watch a game, but if you ask me, hey, you know who that is? I was like, no. I mean, I know certain things, people tell me stuff, like, I know who David Cohn is, I know who, Greg Maddux, like, I know who they are, I know Joe Montana, but that's because people told me about them. I know Stephen Curry and LeBron James, but let's be honest, I don't know, no, but that's because that's what you hear about them all the time. So I was like, yeah, but go ahead.
It doesn't matter who he is, but he was the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, and there's a lot of controversy with him recently.
Oh,
but
Lord.
he had been threatening to try to leave the team, whatever. But he recently went into a house for complete isolation. I don't know. He wasn't supposed to talk, or I think there was no lights, and I believe there definitely were psychotropic things involved, as far as like magic mushrooms and like other things that, like, along ayahuasca perhaps. And it was supposed to be some sort of spiritual, like, letting the toxin things out to have a clear mind in order to make a real decision on his future. Again, who cares that it's Aaron Rodgers? Who cares about it? Anybody? But like, would you be interested in doing something like that, where you'd be locked away in isolation? Maybe you don't have to have the psychotropic drugs, but and alone in a room or a house by yourself for, let's say, 48 hours or 72 hours.
That's scary.
Would you do that?
I personally would not want to be in a house, because I prefer to be outside. But I mean, I get what you're getting at. Would I want to do a writing retreat? I actually do that for myself at times when I need to, for my art.
Can you talk about those?
But just different types of retreats, you mean? Or I mean, everybody's different, but just going off.
Can you talk about one of your favorite ones that you've experienced? Because there might be people that are hitting this and never knew that there was things like that out there.
Oh, well,
or things you could do for yourself.
I think that, yeah, I mean, you can. I do know some people will rent a hotel room, and they'll go there for a couple days and do their thing, or if you live in the city or something like that, or you can go camping, or just get in your car and go drive and sit on the side of the road. I mean, I don't know, there's lots of different things you could do, but you can take food, you can not take food. I mean, you can fast while you're doing it. I mean, sure.
No,
not me.
I was gonna ask for what is your preferential retreat experience? What like do you desire, and when you set yourself in a mindset of, okay, I'm gonna go on this retreat, I'm gonna take this time for myself to just get my creative juices flowing, and we'll see what comes with it.
Pretty much for me, I just, wherever I can be alone, make sure I have something to write on, a couple different things, like, my computer or pad of paper and pencil and water. I mean, but I personally, I've fasted lots and lots of times. So for me, it's not a big deal. I fasted for 42 days is the longest I've ever gone.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Whoa, really? That's wow.
Can we speak on that?
Yes, please.
Yeah, what was that experience like?
On fasting in general, or that particular?
No,
yes, 42 days. Wow.
Yeah, that's more than Jesus. Jesus did 40.
This is true.
Well, there's all different types of fasting, Leon. So there's some people do a fast from, say, your computer or coffee or alcohol or food, or there's all different types of fasting. It's just purposely setting yourself aside, where you're denying yourself some sort of pleasure, and it takes you to it really, first of all, I'll tell you one thing: if you've never fasted before, I do highly recommend it periodically doing intermittent fasting, because if anything, it really shows you how much, say you decide you're going to not eat food. It really lets you know how much you think about food during the day.
This is so true.
So
you know,
you go through this process, and the reason why I like longer fasts is this. The first day is okay. You're like, yeah, I can do this. And the day 2, you're like getting pretty hungry and maybe a little cranky, might get some headaches. Day 3 and 4 are absolutely miserable. You just want to die. There's no way you can possibly keep going. You're, going to the bathroom a lot. You might be puking possibly.
Oh, wow.
You stink. You smell really bad because all the toxins are starting to come out of your body, because your body's now working on that instead of on processing food. So you go through this, and then day 5, day 6, you start to get to this point where it's more of what it turns into is a head trip. You get over the whole physical thing of eating, and suddenly you have a lot more time to think. You have a lot more time to create. You notice things, you smell things more, the colors look different, because you're denying yourself one thing and your body is putting its energy into the other senses. It's a very interesting process. You can, say you might fast for 7 days on one thing and then change it to something else. There's all different types of fasting. There's going to be plenty of people, I'm sure, listening who are completely against the idea of fasting, and that's fine for
there's
you.
a lot of scientific studies that talk about the benefits of different types of, like you said, fasting. So there are definitely some articles that we could always look into. Again, everybody's journey is personal, and if they're upset about somebody else's journey, that's unfortunate, because your journey has led you here, and it's been very inspiring for our listeners, people you've connected with, and also, like, so many people have been successful with their own personal dreams because of your personal journey and how you've connected with them. So again, people can be upset. That's fine, but that's sad if they want to be upset about somebody else's personal choices. You know what I mean? That's sad.
Yeah.
That's on them. But I appreciate them for having an opinion.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, my best friend, he's very anti-fasting. He thinks I'm crazy.
Well,
so
I'll tell you.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with fasting, though.
Oh, it's funny.
Well,
I
tell
don't
you what,
mind.
Tara, my brother is a big, like, he's not just politically vegan. He's like morally and socially, and everything within him is vegan. But he's gone on many juice fasts that have lasted like 6+ weeks, and a lot of people have died on him about it. So, but he has like research articles and helps them back it up. But again, people have their own choices to make in life, and that's okay, as long as it's not hurting other people and preventing other people from making their choices.
Wait, so Leon, what were you gonna say?
Leon.
Okay, I was gonna say, personally for me, I have fasted myself, either because of, my church has said let's go on, like, a fast, and I have taken fasting a couple of days personally, usually when I want to get myself connected closer to Jesus, and and just want to be more spiritually aware and more conscious of my surroundings. And yeah, I can agree. Like, the first day is like, oh, this ain't nothing. I got this. Yeah. and then by day 2, you're like, all right. Stomach's a little bit grumbling, and then by day 3, kill me now. Just take my life. But yeah, I will say this though, like, so when I've done like a 7-day, fast, or like a 2-week fast, it's usually after day 3. Literally, usually in the middle of day 3 or at the end of day 3, you feel a transformation. It's like your body does a switch. And then all of a sudden, there's like, your body's like, okay, I can adjust to this. So you really realize what your body can, like, go through. But yeah, you really realize how much food, like she said, reiterating, piggybacking off what Tara said, how much you desire food. But then when you're fasting, how much you really do not need food as much, and how much more time you have to do other things.
Ooh, that's deep.
I will say, I personally, I am what I call a significant dreamer, in that I have dreams that come true, or that they, maybe about other people, and I'll be shown things about them or something like that that I have no right to know. But so I have these significant dreams. I always have. And I can remember all my dreams even from when I was a toddler. I dream every night, and I remember them all. And I will say that, and will have visions during the day and stuff. It just doesn't happen as often. But what I will say, when I'm fasting, it definitely happens more frequently.
That makes sense.
That is insane. But I have
had some pretty powerful visions and I write them down often. I usually write them down. So.
And that's tapping. I know this is getting I know that some people, it's going to be very controversial. Like, why are you bringing this up?
Oh well, put it up.
Whatever. I'm gonna say it anyway. Sorry.
Put that shit up.
No, Leon, don't.
But I'm gonna say it anyway. Sorry.
Do it.
Sorry.
I'm just kidding, Leon.
So basically, what I'm assessing is that God has gifted your spirit and your soul with pretty much being able to see into the prophetic realm, the spiritual realm.
I don't look at it that way. No.
Yeah, I don't look at it more like just being in tune to the patterns of the universe. Almost, I feel like the ebbs and flows of the positive and negative charges in the atmosphere. That's how I feel it. That's my own. That doesn't make any sense either.
No, I get what you're saying. No, but I get what you're saying though.
Yeah, because if you think about time, when you have deja vu, basically deja vu is showing you the course that's already took place. You just haven't walked into that place yet. You haven't walked into that.
Isn't that crazy?
Time is not linear. And time is not linear. And in
no,
the
it's not.
properties of quantum mechanics and physics, you can slow down time. And there
quantum
has been
mechanics,
a lot.
Quantum mechanics shows that quantum mechanics actually shows that time is the past, the present, the future is all within now, and that's mind blowing to me. And even going, even if we go back to even scripture, it says seeing the end from the beginning, and it's just, but it's amazing when we as human beings are able to. Some human beings are able to have that gifting to be able to see the future, but still remain in the present at the same time, while the future already took place. Then when the future that we walk into, that timeline takes place, it's just a complete mind-blowing experience. Whoa, I've done this before, but I haven't. But
that is insane.
Tara, have you ever had? Well, obviously, I'm assuming the answer is going to be yes, but I don't know. But have you ever had dreams or visions? Obviously. That have been almost incredibly I don't want to use the term painful, but they were so upsetting because of what you had seen that you didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I often am like, okay, now what am I supposed to do with this?
Right.
It just depends. Sometimes I feel like I should tell, it's often if I'm dreaming about someone else, I'll feel the need to tell them, to share it with them. And most of the times people come back later and say, wow, that was exactly what I needed to hear. And I don't want details. I do not want to know more than I already know. And so I'm just like, okay, I don't really want to know, but they'll say, thank you for sharing that with me, because it's a personal thing. When, and I've had a couple times where people have been like, okay, and they accept what I'm telling them, and they're like, okay, that means nothing to me. And I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So I just take it for whatever it is. We're all connected. And so
absolutely.
That's powerful. That's definitely powerful.
DNA, we're all made out of the same 4 nitrogen-based aerogel.
Isn't that crazy?
And, and
I
I
just try to be obedient to what's given to me. So that's
Yeah,
fine
you
enough.
know what's funny? I'm glad you brought that up, obedience. But how, this is a very, you said the word obedience and that already triggers something, because how hard is it to sometimes be obedient to something that, even though it might be uncomfortable, but we know we gotta do it, how hard is it to really be obedient at times? There's no right or wrong answer. I just want to know, like, your experience or in your honest opinion. Because that's a very interesting thing about obedience. I know I struggle with that a lot sometimes, especially in my spiritual walk.
Amen to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's like fighting tooth and nail. But at this point in my life, I just really try to trust and have faith and just say, okay, well, I don't understand. I don't see everything. I don't see I don't see all the details. I see my little bit, and I'm just gonna be, true to what I see, even what I don't understand. I'm just try to be true to that. It's kind of, that's just how you have to be. Otherwise, you're going to stress about, well, but how does this puzzle piece fit with this puzzle piece? And then,
Especially when our institutions are broken. I mean,
yeah,
it's clear that our main institutions are broken, but so we can't be obedient to a broken system. However, we have to be able to work within the system in order to make change.
Well, one thing I've learned about life is I don't know if this is, so what I'm about to say, I've heard this a lot in church, but I'm applying this to my actual secular life as well. So let's say, whatever, God doesn't exist. Let's take that aside just for 1 second. One thing I've learned about life is that I don't believe I'm called to fit in. Rather, I'm called to stand out. If that makes sense, because standing out means that you are able to make a difference when nobody else could. And I feel like if I could make a difference or impact in some shape or form, however that looks like, then I think standing out, I'd rather stand out than to fit in, because when I fit into a society or to a circle, then I'm not really being true to myself. I just feel like I'm just basically just being a follower. You know what I'm saying? Because you ever notice?
Andy, I hear you.
Yeah, and you ever notice? Yeah, but
art has to be unique, but we have to be able to go in the same direction in order for us to work together.
That's the thing. See, but Allen Ginsberg wasn't like that, though. If you want to be honest, Allen Ginsberg wasn't like that. He didn't care.
No.
What I'm saying is, no, absolutely. Everybody has their own journey, their own choices. And yes, you can be a successful individual on your own, totally. However, in my experience, you have to have your own, I'm going to call it like the Ocean's 11. You have to have a group of people that all have unique individual skills, but also work together on a common goal.
Like what we're doing now, basically.
Success. Yes, exactly. You're standing out, but we're working together.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. But I was talking about in a different aspect. But I like that you brought that up. I like how you brought that up, because that makes a lot of sense. But one thing I was always told that, let's say for example in a relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, when two of the exact same people are together, it doesn't always work, rather than you have opposites. Because I feel like my wife's the yin to my yang, because even though me and my wife have similar personalities, but there's a lot of opposites between me and her, and I feel like somehow, some way it just works, and opposed to if someone's exactly the same as exactly you are, it's not gonna work for a while. I don't know if that's how you see. That's just how I see it. That's the way I've learned life. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't think it's opposites, Andy. I think the correct terminology there is to have a complement. Somebody who complements you. You have a weakness in one area, and for her, it's going to be a strength. She's got a weakness in one area. You're going to have a strength in that.
Yeah, so it balances you out.
When you work together, so I don't believe in the opposites attracting. I do believe that there's complementary relationships, not just in boyfriend, girlfriend, as you say, but also in friendships, in business partnerships,
work relationships,
all sorts of it doesn't matter. Any sort of relationship of any kind, the things that are going to work out are going to be complementary, and not meaning that, in my weaknesses is where you're going to be stronger, and then, where we're lacking, Angela's going to fill in, and where she's lacking, Leon's, that sort of thing. That's a complementary relationship.
Intriguing.
when we're talking in a publishing poetry relationship, because artists can be very unique and very demanding and very egotistical and, you know, cocky
This
and
is
confident.
true.
Sarah, is it hard to work with artists like that? I know you say that you're very honest. So is it easier to work with an artist, even though they might have a bad disposition, but they are good at feedback? Or is it easier to work with somebody who's pleasant, but is bad at feedback? That's Sophie's choice there.
That's a good question, Angela. Very great question.
Let me give you a personal example here, and I'm going to use this example because I know he won't mind, and I'm going to talk about Brandon White for a minute.
Okay. We had him
Brandon
is his book, his third book.
Exactly.
Everybody's listening. If you don't have it, go to Amazon.
Okay.
As well.
Brandon is. I love working with Brandon. But he knows what he wants. So first of all, he's an artist. He creates the art that's in his books. Mm-hmm. He also is a writer, and he's also a musician, right? Okay, so he's coming from all these different aspects, and he's got all this experience, especially in the music realm, and so he knows what he wants. And so I can't just steamroll over him and be like, hey, this is how it's going to be. I might be like, hey, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? And we work together really well as a team, I think. Now, we had one project where I'm not going to say we butted heads because we didn't, but we did have a little bit of we had a couple issues kind of arise. And,
wow.
And yet he respects me, I respect him. And, he goes, well, this is just the way it's going to be. And I said, okay, it's your book. And I said, this is my opinion. I shared it with him, and he said, well, this is the way it's going to be. And I said, okay, because it's his work. I'm just facilitating it. So I said, that's fine.
But that all publishing places would be like that.
Yeah, this is true.
Oh, no. No, not every place will be. In fact, let me talk about publishing for just 1 minute here.
Please.
This is good stuff. Yo, you know what? I love you, Angela, because you always open one book. Because you always open one thing, but it leads into something else. I freaking love this. What do you think, Leon? Before Tara says what.
No, it's absolutely awesome, and yes, for anybody. So I'm gonna give the introduction. So for anyone that wants to know about publishing, you're going to hear the knowledge and wisdom that Tara Caribou has done the work, and she knows. So Tara Caribou, the floor is yours.
There's all different types of publishing, okay? One of the things when anybody approaches me and says, hey, how do I sell my book to you? I give them some free advice. And that is...
That's really nice, first of all.
You need to do some research because, okay, maybe you like my books, but maybe we don't get along, or we don't have the same vision or something. It doesn't hurt my feelings if someone gets that. If Brandon were to right now say, hey, Tara, I'm going to go work with this other publisher, I would say, cool. I hope, I wish you the best of luck. I hope that you guys work really well together, because because that's what I'm there for, is to facilitate, right? But a lot of publishers aren't like that. In fact, a lot of people say, oh, I wish that one of the big 5 publishers, would publish me. And I say, I don't think if you really knew what it was like, you would really want to, because they actually steamroll over the artists. These authors, they don't get a choice. They don't get to choose. They don't get to choose their covers. They don't get to choose their artists. They don't get to choose their editor. They don't get to choose. They often get huge swaths of pages just deleted out. They have someone rewrite partially. I mean, they don't get a choice.
Dang.
I didn't even know that. Wow. I didn't even know that.
I did know about the editing stuff. Like they.
No, yeah.
Okay, so then we have, that's the big ones. Now we got a bunch of small house publishers, and you have a lot of them who they publish people's work, and it appears that they don't care. They don't have the quality. They don't care. it's like they don't care about the person. They don't care about what they're doing. They're just putting it out there. They're more of like a vanity publisher. Technically, I will say this, technically Raw Earth Inc. would probably be considered a vanity publisher, but I don't really like that term. But it's
I love it. Say it.
The thing is that it appears to me that these publishers don't really care about the writers, and they don't do good editing. They don't do good covers. It's like they just sure, you can pay me and I'll do this for you and everything. And but they're not doing a very good job. And then there's some that are like, hey, it's my way. And either you like it and you go along with it or go down the road. And then there's some who, who work with the writer. This is why I say it's important to do your research on who you're going to work with, because there are a ton of publishers out. I mean, a ton of publishers. They're coming out of the wall, especially like in the last couple years. I'm on Instagram, like, geez, it seems like every other writer is now suddenly a publisher. And I look at their stuff and I'm like, no. You're not looking at there's a lot of rules in publishing. I don't know if you know this, but there's
I bet there are.
I
don't know the rules, but.
And I buy people's books and to support them. I'm like, oh, good Lord, you broke this rule. You broke this rule. And you can do it.
What's like
Amazon
a rule
lets you.
Yeah, word.
Like a copyright rule? Like, are we talking like a legal kind of a copyright situation?
No.
Or just
no,
like what's...
it's no.
What do you mean? Just an example of a rule.
I'll give you an example. Every on your right hand side of your page is odd numbers, and your evens are always on your left hand. Your book does not start on page 1.
Never.
Page 1 actually starts with your table of contents. That's actually page 1.
Right. Oh, okay. And that's why sometimes they don't call it page 1. They'll call it like X or something like that. They'll have these Roman numerals and stuff. Explain to that is backwards. Wait, but why is that? But why? But okay, here's interesting but why does it have to be like that? I think is my question. Like, why can't they just? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I don't understand something. Cause when I used to have like the encyclopedia or whatever, I noticed like whatever book I'm reading, they always had that Roman numeral thing, and then page 1.
Because it's a standard. Everybody
it's like
the
APA or MLA.
We're on
format.
the same.
Like if you're gonna cite, I'm sorry to talk over you again, Tara. It's just a format. It's just the standard. It's the way you're supposed to do something. If you're going to cite something in an academic paper, you have to use a certain style.
Wait,
APA
so
or MLA.
No, right. So I know about those two. I remember the English class. Yeah, I remember. Cause I remember when I was in English class, they would always say, okay, what format are you writing in, guys? Especially in college. But here's gonna be I'm gonna quote my wife on this. Like, says who? Who says? Like when they say they, who's they?
The Library of
Congress.
Something,
though. It's saying
the American Library of Congress is who says it. And what that means, if you follow these, well, Andy, you can certainly publish your book and not follow these rules, but I'll tell you what won't happen. No library in the United States.
No. I mean, I'm not knocking it. It's just. I mean, okay. Like I didn't mean to come off like I'm knocking it. No, okay.
There should be standards.
I'm not knocking like what you're saying. It's just intriguing because I'm like, oh my god, like it's so intriguing to me in that way. Like, oh god, like really, like damn. I'm like, says who? But then you're like, oh snap.
Andy, this is what goddamn the Dewey Decimal System was for.
Exactly.
Wait, what? Wait, say that again. That what?
The Dewey Decimal System.
I worked in a library. That was my first job. I love libraries.
Oh, I can see that.
And the reason why you knew where to go find a book for a patron was because there were standards, there were rules. It's not like it's just somewhere a weird arbitrary thing. But another thing is there's actually an order that you are supposed to put your book in. Your table of contents goes in a certain place, acknowledgments goes in a certain place, your foreword, your epilogue. There's actually it's supposed to be in a certain order, and certain of these pages can be they always start on your right hand page, and some of them it doesn't matter if it's on left or right. These are the rules, and this is the problem I have with even some small I got to be honest with you, there's even some small house publishers that I see, they're putting out these books and I'm like, you're a publisher and you don't follow the rules.
That's a big deal. I kind of
It's frustrating.
agree with you, Tara.
Okay.
That showcases the quality of work that they are putting you on. Again, I've said this before.
That's good to know.
Podcast before. But like your writing itself is twofold. It's the content and your grammar syntax. Doesn't matter how great of a content it is if you have horrible. If your audience cannot get through the syntax. So that's the gift in the wrapping.
Yes.
Now syntax can be purposeful and used I'm not talking necessarily standardized grammatic English. I'm just saying you can utilize different style depending on your stuff. What I'm saying is when we're talking like an essay, what you're saying and how you're
wait, Angela,
Andrew, hold on a second. Hold on. Let me get it worded.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Leon.
That's
my weakness. This is where Leon and Annie gotta help.
So I was gonna say, and this is the thing with me, and this is why I would need like somebody like Tara. And this is also why I've been hesitant with publishing my own book. Because the thing with me is, yes, I can write great poetry. I have a lot of great concepts for how I want a book to go and which way I want it to flow. My problem is, like as was forestated, the standard of things. See, when I write, even if I write on paper, I usually write like on running sentences. Just like every form of poetry has like a format. Like rap for example, 16 bars verse, 16 bars verse, 16 or 8 bars verse, or a bridge. For me, it's just I free flow from my consciousness and I write, and then when it feels good to me to put a chorus there, or when it feels good to me to stop, or to put a pause there and then write again, I do. And this is why when it comes to me, there's other styles I've tried to experiment with in my writing, but because my mind is like, no, right, and the rest will handle itself. And so that's what happens with me.
Well, Leon,
that's deep.
There's nothing wrong with what you're talking about there. I don't think that's an issue. The only thing I would say is spelling. That's one thing I noticed with you personally. I noticed you misspell things. That's all that you would need.
I struggle. Wow. You know what's crazy? I struggle with that. And that, like, I think I spoke to Angela about this a while back. I don't know. I think it was you, Angela, where I said, like the word accept. Like I always use them wrong. I don't know if it's ACCEPT or EXCEPT. Like I always use them incorrectly. Right, but how many people actually struggle with that? I always feel like I'm the only one, but no, okay, but now that, so I want your opinion on that.
That's a really common thing I fix in people's, I don't, personally, I don't fix people's poetry like the way it's ordered or anything, but I will do spelling errors.
And that's what I was going to ask Tara about, like the other side. So people who do turn in work that might have like, I'm guilty of too many commas or a comma in the wrong spot. That's something that you would be, or publishers in general, that's an easy cleanup and people are willing to do that, right?
Poetry is different though. If we're talking about poetry, personally, I would never ever correct your punctuation in poetry, because poetry, you put commas and periods where you typically want it in an actual sentence because you're doing it for dramatic, either the way it looks or the way it sounds as you're reading.
This is true.
Poetry has got different rules.
Absolutely. Okay? Like I'll use a hyphen.
You don't have to in poetry, and I often don't. There's no capitalization, but some people capitalize everything. Some people write sentences that they break up, and some people do this really flowing.
So Tara, how do you know it's a stylized choice or an accident then? Because I think I would have both. Like I would use something as a stylized choice, but then I might accidentally throw the wrong punctuation in the wrong spot just because I wasn't paying attention.
If I was reading one page
that's good,
I might not catch it, but if I'm reading 100 pages of your poetry, it's gonna be pretty obvious.
Oh, cool.
Now, every publisher is different. There might be some who change it. There might be some who won't change anything at all. I know my friend Reverend Dixon, he won't change. In fact, we've had the conversation. He's like, he said, you don't change anything. on
And
poetry.
Ooh.
And I like that. I get that because you're right. In poetry, there are rules, but at the same time, there are no rules. So that's
This
like,
is true.
So I don't change other people's. I don't change it, but
Yeah.
my editor, she does
Mhm.
do a little bit of that. That's what she's
okay.
paid to do. So she occasionally will. It depends on the art, the artist, and she's
Of
working
course.
directly with them. So if they let her, she's going to. So
Interesting. No, because I was gonna say with the whole commas and all that other stuff you said, I always find it interesting because I've read some poetry that are like what you said, and then there's some that don't follow any of that stuff. And again, I'm always gonna mention Allen Ginsberg because that's just the perfect example. If you look at a lot of his pieces, especially like Howl, he does have no commas. Everything, I mean, he has no periods. Everything is comma, comma, comma. And then at the very end of the poem, he'll just have that one period and that's it. And I always found that intriguing because when I was in school, I was always taught stanza. Okay. However that looks. Okay. If you want to bring another point, then there's another stanza. And I used to think, oh, that's the way it's supposed to be. But then when I talked to, right. But then when I talked to other poets cause I've talked to other poets in the Instagram realm as well. And they said, well, I mean, it's whatever you want it to be, if you want to be honest. But I'm just like, I was always taught in English class, stanza, whatever. If you want a different thought per stanza, that's the way I was taught. But then when I had another English teacher, it was a whole different thing. And I'm like, okay, wait, I'm confused now. So that's where it gets interesting with that. So I'm glad we're having that particular conversation because I've always been confused about structure and pieces and stuff like that. Because sometimes my pieces will be stanzas. Sometimes my pieces are just like Allen Ginsberg-ish.
So one thing I can say is, when I was first sharing my poetry online, like 6 years ago or so, I had some of the best feedback I had. These are just random people, they don't know me, I don't know them. And they're just like, hey, nobody wants to read a wall of words. And I'm like, well, that's the way I'm writing it. It's like, da da da. And then I thought, but hey, if the reader if they can't get there, well, then why share it then? Why not just keep it in your notebook at home? And so now I recognize, and as I've grown as an artist, as a poet, to sometimes break it up to what feels natural to me personally. When I write, I read it out loud to myself, and wherever the natural breaks are, that's where I break it. Not, everybody has their own style, but to say that you have to break up your stanzas a certain way, that is a type of writing. It's not right or wrong. It's like painting. There's no right way or wrong way to paint. And, you might look at the way somebody's painting and go, that's not the way you hold your brush, or that's not the way you dab the paint or something. But then you can look at the finished product and realize it can be a beautiful thing. It doesn't really matter the style. There's, everybody has their own. So there's no right way or wrong way. Lots of commas, no commas, capitalization, no capitalization, special symbols, no special symbols, a wall of poetry, or broken down into, 2 to 4 stanzas. I mean, there's no right or wrong way at all. In my mind, it's art. That's just it.
I agree.
I like that. It's art. That's just it. Cut.
Mm-hmm.
That's the perfect way to just really wrap that stuff up for sure. I love that. It's art. That's just it.
That's deep.
So, Tara, you were speaking earlier about when you were writing your own poetry. One thing that you like to do is you like to read your own work to yourself out loud as a way to figure out where your natural breaks are. I use like a reader speak app or a read write Google, and I always play my work back to me because I always will write the wrong word when I'm thinking ahead, so that always helps me. Are there any other like publisher or writer tips out there that have been really helpful for you, or that you've given to other writers that have been like, Tara, thank you for this tip?
Mostly to just kind of get out of your way and to just write it and then go back over it. I always recommend going back and rereading your stuff. I know a lot of people like to just write it and post it, sort of a thing, and that's cool to a certain extent. But I think it's really important when we're sharing our work that you put some care and attention to your readers. If you don't want to take the time and make it, put some effort into correcting your spelling, making it maybe look somewhat nice, making sure it makes sense, you know, trying to say what you're trying to say. If you don't want to put the effort into that for your readers, why should your readers put their time into reading your work?
Wow.
That's kind of where I'm at with it. It's hard because, again, poetry, in my opinion, is art. And so there's no right or wrong way. But again, somebody who just, you know, doesn't want to put the effort and time in, I don't know why you would expect anyone to put any time into reading your stuff. And in fact, I often, you know, as I only have so much time in the day, I can only follow and read so many things. So it's like, if I come across someone I see they don't care, well, then I don't care about taking the time. You know, my time is precious, you know, so I'm not going to waste my time on subpar anything. Now, to me, I could read something and it's subpar, and Leon could read it and be like, this is the most outstanding thing I've ever read in my entire life. And that's okay. Not everybody is going to like Tara Caribou's writing. Not everybody's going to like Andy's writing. Not everybody's going to like Leon's or Angela's or anybody's writing.
Absolutely.
That's okay. That's another thing. It's like, I could sit here and mope and say, oh, you know, I read this person all the time and they never once they don't read my stuff. Well, that's fine. Maybe I don't write a style they like. That's okay. It's perfectly fine.
Puts everything in perspective, does it?
Kind of went off to a tangent there, but
no, it's okay. No, it just puts things into perspective.
You're saying something. Your art is your artwork is what we're putting out there, so you can tell the difference between somebody that is putting their art out there with care versus somebody just slapping something out there.
Yeah,
I think
and
so.
Again, and it doesn't mean like it's not the length or the vocabulary. It's not necessarily the grammar, or it's just you can tell the difference between somebody who's putting something out because it means something versus putting something out there because they're just trying to put something out there. And I think that's really what you're trying to get at. That we can't feed the machine. We got to really feed the art. And that's the point that I think we're trying to make here. This isn't an advertising scheme. This is a collection of artists and collaborators.
Yeah, amen.
I think you said, Angela, I think you were talking to Greg, and you said, you know, let's be honest, our poems are always a work in progress. Like we're always reworking them. And I agree with that. I can pick up something I wrote 5 years and go, oh, good Lord, I can't believe I, you know, did this. And, and I'll rewrite
next generation
it
and next generation and next generation. I don't think ever any piece of writing is ever truly completed. That's just my personal opinion of the word.
And then you have those poems or those writings you've written, and then you forgot you wrote it, and then you look back on it, and you're like, "Whoa, I made this."
It's true.
I do that all the time because I write in the middle of the night a lot of times when I'm half asleep, and I'll wake up in the morning and look at my apps or something and be like, what? I don't remember.
What is this? But it's intriguing to think about that, because I remember one time I was having a conversation with Brian Edwards a while back. And he said even though there's certain times in your life that you wrote certain things you don't remember, but it's just a reminder, hey, that's what you were at the time that you wrote that. And I remember Robert Charbonneau said, even though it feels like it's not from outside, but it feels like it's from outside. But even though it's really from you, but it feels like it's from outside because you don't think you can even write the way you write sometimes. And it's
because you're not who you were. When you wrote that, you're not that person that you were 10 minutes ago or 3 years ago or 20 days ago. You're a different person now. You're your experiences and everything. So you wrote it, but it is kind of outside of you because you wrote that then. You wouldn't write that now.
Yeah.
Tara, you're so right, but gosh dang it, the part of me wants to fight you tooth and nail and be like, I want to stay the same. I don't want to change. Change is bad. But
God, don't be like Joey from Friends. Hey, you promised God. We're not gonna be old.
But change is part of the human experience.
This is true.
And here's the thing. It's the thing with change. There's the saying goes, people fear what they don't often understand. And here's the truth of the matter is, adding on to that is, we fear our own selves because when we get out of our comfort zones, we fear who are we going to become, because we realize that this progression that we go into that we're really not in full control of everything we think we are. So when something switches up, that's not part of the plan or original format that we have envisioned, that we have manifested to ourselves, it's a complete turbulence of what is going on in my life, what is going on with my mind, why am I acting the way I'm acting, and either whether it's an outside force or an internal force, change shifts us all up.
You know what?
That's
The
good.
great unknown.
That is
We gotta
good.
tie this back.
That's good.
To the fasting situation. I think, you know what?
Wow.
After
That's
much
good.
time has passed in that change is when you really do feel that clarity. But when it first happens, gosh, you're feeling so horrible about that change.
Oh,
Just
it's
like
a
the
roller
fasting.
coaster. It's a roller coaster ride. You're going upside down, around, going down a big hill, and you're just like, I am going to die right now. This is it. And then you're like, okay, it's not so bad. And then everything just goes fast, and you feel like your life is flashing before you. And that's why I'm making that analogy, because that's what it's like when change happens. And pretty much, this whole life is it's a leap of faith. This whole experience of life is a leap of faith, and a bunch of us kind of piece puzzles together, because none of us really got to figure it out. And every single time we say we have it figured out, we really don't.
No, that's one thing I've learned. When we tell ourselves we got this, we really don't got this. Like, it's so true what you said.
There's a saying that goes, man makes plans and God laughs. And I call that cosmic humor, or God's cosmic humor, because we'll do things, and then when things don't go our way, or things will go in our way, but if you look back on it in a comedic way, you're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, haha.
You thought that was the plan, but it really isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I laugh, otherwise I'd be crying. So I laugh all the time.
That was pretty good. You do the fake laugh. Ha ha ha.
Oh God.
Yeah. Oh my God.
What did you want to add on to that, Tara?
No.
Oh.
No,
this
is good. This is
Tara,
great.
I hope you understand. I mean this with Jess. With Tara's vision, she already knows what's about to happen, y'all. So she's good.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
Yeah.
Please understand that was a joke. And all
Right.
hyperbole.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why no adding is needed.
But yeah, it's just, I mean,
We've
even
really learned a lot tonight.
Yeah.
absolutely. About publishing,
Ow.
about the way art is, and just if I can also add, creativity is it's objective. It's objective. You know how they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's the same way. I mean, there's some people who look at my art or look at my creative writing. They absolutely think I'm garbage. Okay, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And there's some people who, yes, yeah, and
That's not their
I mean,
place to
I've
say.
literally had people.
You have gotten
I've had people unfollow me. I've had people block me. I've had people just like,
reminds me of my guidance counselor.
That's okay, though.
I think we all have, Leon.
Get them out of the way. Yes, of course.
We all have.
Oh yeah.
Everybody, haters are gonna hate. We know that. So let them, and let your art speak for itself. You can't worry about anybody else. Your art is beautiful, and we need more Leon in our lives. I think we said that earlier. Let's say it again.
Yep.
We need more Leon in our feed.
Exactly.
Yes.
People who love you, want you in our feed.
You gotta do that. You gotta do that body thing too.
I've actually been down on that because I feel like it's a gift and a curse, and I've been trying to let my words speak more.
Yes, that's great that you're into the transition, but I definitely agree with Andy that we do miss some of that positive imagery.
Yeah.
The powerful, because it was powerful, and that's important that power gets out there.
Especially the one with the Black Lives Matter one. That was really good. That was a very powerful one. I really enjoyed that one.
Now, is that the one you're talking about? The poem you always talk about? Do you see me? That was the one where like it had where I was like putting my hands up and
yes,
I had like ink blotches all over me, and I said, "Do you see me?"
Yeah, I believe
That
so. That one, because that one, remember, you had a picture of yourself, the body art, whatever, and you had it in black and white, and then you had that piece on there. Like, I remember, I'll never forget that piece. That's why I always bring it up. Do you see me? Because,
actually now talking about that, because we're not on Instagram Live, but we're on a different platform. I can actually pull that poem up. I can actually
will you
pull
be
that.
able to perform that right now?
Yes, but I would
All
be
right.
I would be amiss because this is Tara's
I know.
interview.
But I know Tara wanted to say something to you, Leon.
It's true. I don't want to. I don't want to steamroll. But like, okay, let me jump in. So, I want to be respectful. Tara, would you like to hear of my piece? It's called "Do You See Me?"
I do remember that one, but yes.
But Tara,
There's
were
gonna
you
be
saying something earlier too?
Oh, well, Leon, while you're pulling that up, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, in terms of like your body art and stuff, which is one thing I super respect you about, because we kind of joke around here because I always call myself a partial nudist because I don't really particularly care for clothing. And
Well, you're out in the wilderness.
And here's the thing. Well, I did it when I lived in the city too. So.
Oh, cool. Well, no, good for you. Good for you.
The thing is, I just don't really care that much. But the problem that I came across, and I know that Leon has the same stuff that comes at him, is there's all these people who, when you're not afraid to be yourself and just be like, hey, this is what I'm comfortable with. I used to share my art on online as well, and my nude art, let's put it that way. And
cool.
people then they suddenly think that gives them a badge or a right to say or act certain ways. And I had, just like Leon has, haters, as you want to call it, people who would come and they'd be like, you're disgusting, and all these other things they would say.
Hold on. But I don't understand this. So that's okay. So it's okay to watch porn, but it's not okay to like put an artistic thing.
Well, first of all, we don't know if the people that are saying stuff.
No. Well, what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is like, but what? No, but but what I'm trying to get at is, okay, but why is that okay, but this is not okay, and you're just doing artistic stuff?
Here's what I want to say. This is what's not okay. You can have an opinion, positive or negative. What's not okay is expressing an opinion that is destroying somebody else, which has nothing to do with you personally.
Exactly.
Like, that's what I don't understand why they're having such a personal reaction where they need to have. Again, I understand that this happens, and I understand that people feel comfortable behind a screen.
Yeah,
it's interesting you say that.
Yeah, Tara,
I had this one lady in particular, and to the point I actually had to bring the when you have problems online, you actually have to go through the FBI for it. You have to. That's how they do it, because it's across state lines and all that. Anyways, she became very, very just horrible. She was sending me messages and telling me. She told me to go kill myself and a bunch of other things because she's quite literally crazy. But
well, yeah, I would say.
Wow.
I remember she had comment. Of course, on WordPress, you can make it so like I can see the comments but not approve of them. So I see them come in. And so she would always write these things. And of course, I see them come in, her comments come in. And she was like saying how disgusting I am and how gross I am. And I was like, then why are you looking at my website?
Right.
This is true.
Nobody's making you look at my website. Nobody makes you read my art. Nobody makes you look at any of this. Why are you coming at me like this? I don't even know you. I don't know, I don't know. All I know is that you're a psycho.
So offensive. Yeah.
That's where I'm at. And this is where my thing is, like with Leon, like people or they think that, oh, now I can be super sexual with you or something. And it's like, listen, that's not my thing. I'm like Leon. I believe that our bodies are works of art, and there's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah. I've been saying
now,
that.
Does that mean that you just, make yourself all grody and, whatever?
No.
What all I'm saying is that our bodies are a work of art. And, what I like to do was write poetry and put it artistically over top of my pictures of my body and stuff. And there were a lot of people who appreciated it. And then there were some people who hated it. And then there were some gross people out there too. And this is one reason this is why I like Leon, because he's not weird about it. He's just like, listen, I'm a living canvas. Every year for his birthday, I write him a poem, you know, for a living canvas poem, because that's what he is, you know, what I really appreciate it. And it's like, why do people have to come at you about it? Why not just go, if it was me and I didn't like what Leon was sharing, I'd be like, unfollow. I wouldn't even tell him. I'd just be like, well,
exactly,
because he's my friend. But if I saw something I don't like online, I just don't look at it. How hard is that?
But you know what sucks though? But God forbid you say that. Oh no. Oh, you can't even say shit like that, because all of a sudden be like, oh, but why you gotta say that? You know, like they get all stupid about it. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But you shouldn't be looking at my thing in the begin with. Like jump off. Like my whole thing is, bro, like you grown, like jump off.
Here was the thing with me. Like, so I know how I am artistically and creatively and how my mind works. So it was always the conflict of I'm getting over it now, and you know, as I'm getting older, but like always I called it the people pleaser syndrome. Oh, they don't like it, okay, I'll just completely. But then also it was the fact of, you know, the conflict with you know, my faith as well, you know, not wanting to offend anybody. And then, you know, because a lot of times I would get DMs like, you know, you're not really a real Christian and everything. And then like I would literally have people screenshot my stuff and put me on blast, and then of course, you know how that happens. It'd be like the hive mindset where other people would that I didn't even know, and then like and then all of a sudden
it's out of context too. So it's
exactly.
It's a completely different manipulation of topic and concept when you have no context.
Exactly.
Very damaging.
Exactly.
It's very damaging to what happened to you, Leon, and Sarah as well. So I'm so sorry you guys had to go through that.
So then that's why, if you guys notice, I've been a long time, and you pretty much don't even see it on my page anymore. I just completely revamped my poetry page, and I haven't posted anything new like that or anything.
Oh yeah, I pulled all my stuff down. Oh yeah. I did too. I took a bunch of stuff. I took hundreds of posts off. I used to post almost every day. Yeah. I went through one day and I just went and I just removed it all. And I was just like, I'm done. You know, it's not worth it.
And
to
that's
me
the power.
If I'm getting stress from it.
And it's stressful and it's unnecessary stress. But again,
I agree.
From a bunch of people that you don't know personally. But again, you are able to control that influx into your life by taking it down. So you're taking control of it by doing that. And I think that's maybe the right move from hearing from the two of you. However, I don't think that they won in this regard, but I do hate the fact that, do you feel like this is a censorship, or do you feel like this is just like a caveat, kind of a pivot to the changing just a little bit?
For me, it's a mix of both. It's a mix of both.
You feel like you want because of this. All right, that's good.
Parts of me that still do want to do that. But like after all that happened, it literally affected the way I create. Like I used to always constantly have, because I used to always have like, oh, let me do this, let me do that, let me do this, let me do that, let me do this, let me do that. And that doesn't even strike me. Like that's why, and also affecting my writing. That's why my writing is
you know what's crazy?
I don't write as much as I used to. I was very prolific. Like you guys, like anyone who remembers me within 2018 to 2021, I was writing like every other day. Like, oh, Leon got another post. Oh, Leon has another post.
Yeah,
and it just stopped. If you notice, towards the middle end of 2021.
But you know what's crazy about that? How it had to take a few people in order for you to do that. And that sucks, because that reminds me of a conversation I had with my wife actually today. There's this one girl, right? It's not poetic, but it relates to the same thing that you guys are talking about. Her name was Rachel, and she does this, you know, stuff for kids, you know, for autistic kids. And she, you know, does these videos where, you know, showing, lip reading and all this other stuff. And I think it was like a few people that started sending her like stupid messages. But because of those messages, it affected her mental health now. Now she's afraid to even like do anything like that. She feels like just giving up, and it sucks. Like, are you kidding me? She's doing, and she's just doing it for the right reasons because she wants to help autistic kids. But all you, like who are you to go on someone and do that? Same thing with them. Who were they to do that to you? That's your art. That's your masterpiece. Like, how dare you? Like, it's like what Tara says. You don't like it? Unfollow. You could block me. I don't care. This is how I write. This is how I do art.
And
but why is it okay for certain things? But it's like, it should be a double standard if that's the case. Okay, if you don't like it, fine. Whatever. It is what it is.
We have to make them uncomfortable.
And it pisses me off.
People be
But
uncomfortable.
we as artists, you have to understand.
For those who disagree, guess what? Be uncomfortable. I don't care anymore. That's how I feel.
And I think I speak for all of us. I think I speak for all of us in this room when I say that, like, as artists, like, we're sensitive souls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when we pour into our art, we're pouring out like pieces of our essence. So when someone like, you're stabbing our very essence, you're attacking what makes.
And I
take it personally.
Yeah, and I love that you said that, Leon, because Angela, again, and please don't joke with this one because you did it at Greg's thing. But remember that live with Arthur? You're gonna say you don't know? No, no, but even Arthur said it. That's what I'm saying. I mean, Arthur, if you're listening, we mention you a lot, but that's because you've had some good topics and points to make. But anyway, he even said when people write, sometimes they just do it because it's cool, not because they really want to express stuff. What we do is because we really love what we do. We love to express. We love to just pour our heart out there because somebody else might relate. But when everybody else wants to jump on the bandwagon because it's cool, then it's like, it's those people that I feel like, oh, that's not what it's supposed to be. No, but what do you know? And it's crazy to me. It's like, all it takes is a few people to like ruin it. And it sucks. It sucks ass.
You have to take that power away. We had somebody be inappropriate in one of our lives right away, and we just treated that person like they were weird, and they stopped immediately. And again, that doesn't work necessarily, but it's tough because we teach our women, and not just women, but like we teach our women, we got to cover up because.
For me personally, I look at it as a positive. In the end, I'm going to take it and I'm going to take what somebody meant for evil and for bad, and I'm going to turn it into something good. I don't mind that I've had a change of a page. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm a better person, a better woman, a better creator for having, because I got wrapped up into it, and I know Leon can attest to this too, but you get wrapped up into certain aspects of it that can become easily very toxic. And
true.
Once I took the emotional side out of it, and I stepped back and looked and said, you know what? I like what I'm creating without that aspect. I don't look at it as a negative. I think that one lady in particular is a complete psycho.
That's
but that
crazy.
Doesn't matter. I don't really care.
So you don't think this was censorship to you? So you feel like this was more of a pivoting opportunity to kind of
absolutely. I take it as an opportunity to. I take it as an opportunity to grow as a person. Now I super spiraled down. Anybody who's talked to me for any length of time knows that I got super depressed. I really was contemplating suicide quite a bit. You have no idea what this woman put me through.
I do remember
and
that.
There was a couple people. There was one lady on Instagram who was going and messaging people and saying all this stuff about me, even though literally we've had one conversation. Because she worked with one of my authors, and so I had to talk to her, and I asked her a question about the book. She answered me. I said, okay, thanks. That's literally the only thing I've ever talked to this woman. She's going behind and messaging all these people and saying, oh, Tara this, Tara that. She doesn't even know her. And that really got me, because I'm like, what did I ever do to her? I literally never did anything to her. Why doesn't she just block me? I don't get it. she never said she never said, hey, I have a question. Never approached me. She just went, and I had multiple, I can name right now 12 people on Instagram who contacted me and said, hey, so-and-so saying this about you. Is that true? And I'm like, no, what are you talking about?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I've had all these things, and I just go, you know what? I can sit now. I have OCD, so I have, I have these like repetition of thoughts. I can get really hung up on things, and I have super low self-esteem.
Same here.
And so I'm sitting there getting really bogged down with it. And then I had to one day, I just had to really, okay, I got to take the emotions out of it and look at this. Who cares about me? My kids care about me. My partner cares about me, this, that, or the other. And I can go, you know what? I don't care what these people think. I don't care what they say. And I'm going to make something, I'm going to become better for this. Okay. So that means I'm going to, I changed direction. I like the direction I'm going in right now. I'm having some really good contact with people and stuff like that. So I don't really care. I'm like, well, I used to do that. And I actually really enjoyed doing that. But there are certain aspects I didn't really care for. And I'm glad. I feel like I'm a better person for not doing any of that anymore, because,
that's huge.
It can lead you down a bad path.
I've definitely had issues with Instagram in the past with people in general, but like where it's affected my mental health, where I had to take breaks away from it just to check with myself. But that's not what I wanted to go with this. Tara, like, this is the perfect time to say, like, what's next for you? Because you are looking forward to like this amazing, rebirth with your recalibration and how you really love the direction you're going in. Just professionally, what are you working on now? Are you working with some
Word?
Like,
the world wants to know.
Book. Like we just had Greg's book come out. We just had Brandon's book come out. Like, what else is happening with you?
Yeah, I have, let's see, currently on the docket, I've got like 6 books in the works. You'll be talking to Braden Michaels, I think, in a day or two.
Yep.
This Friday, yes.
This is his 6th book with him. I know Braden. I've known him for a long time. And
so this is going to be a really awesome interview on Friday too, then.
Yes.
Your people have been excellent.
I love Braden. He's one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. So
wow, this means
I thought a favorite. I'm going to give him the complaint. Go ahead.
I'm hoping to be in the live with you guys, or to listen in. I'm hoping I can listen in. But so I really, really enjoy publishing people's books. There's like, man, I cannot describe to you. It feels better than even putting out my own books, which is fun, and I like doing it. But I love working with people. I love putting out their books. The whole process of it just makes me feel so good. So I have a few books coming down the pike here. Hopefully get some more people coming in soon. But
any new anthology?
Yeah, word. Yeah, any new anthologies coming out?
Because then that'll give me inspiration to like, Tara, I got it, and I'm not gonna mess up like I did with the Cosmic one.
Oh my God! No prompts, Angela.
Cosmos.
Sorry, no prompts.
He did not.
I'm upset about that one.
He didn't. Leon did not. I nagged him on book on Creation in the Cosmos, and he did not get his stuff in on time.
Oh,
that's
Leon,
why he's not in that one.
Come on, man.
I considered doing the anthology thing. There's a couple things of why I haven't pursued it. One is anthologies for a publisher. You put a ton of time and money into it, and they're really fun to do when they're done. Man, like Creation of the Cosmos it's a gorgeous book. I've put out 6 anthologies to date. And it's, I love every single one of them. They're really fun, but I found that, well, first of all, I really like doing the short story ones more than the poetry and art ones. And finding authors for short stories where they want to actually participate is really difficult to do.
Oh, wow.
It's difficult to get them to meet deadlines. It's difficult to get them to, I feel like I'm nagging, and then I'm like the mom,
Yeah.
No one wants to be the mother.
Like, poetry anthology, like you have to probably contact and be in cahoots with so many different personas and personalities, and some people are type A, and some people are like me, very type B. Like, what do you need?
Yeah, they're fun to do. It's just that so many other people are doing them that it's
That is
kind of, and I'm
true.
like, okay, I don't know, Leon, you've been in several anthologies. I mean, is it for you? Now, I've also been published in other people's anthologies. Does it
Yeah.
feel good? Like, do you feel like it's your book?
Andy,
Um,
you're in
So like,
anthology too,
it's
right?
like
Yes, this
it's
is
funny.
true. Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
No, go.
oh,
No, no,
Andy, you are?
no. So I
I did.
just. No. Okay, wait. Who wants to go first? Because I'm like,
Go, Leon. I
Okay,
sorry, I
Leon.
did that.
you know,
Leon, my fault.
no, that's okay. It's funny. Like even though it's an anthology, the most important one to me feels like Poet Symphony, and and that one, even though there's a whole bunch of it feels like my creation. Now there are other ones I'm a part of
Uh-huh.
that don't. I'm like, okay, this is his, and I'm just a guest. Um, but that's okay. So I guess it depends on like the format of the book,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess the relationship I have with whoever is publishing it. There's a few ones where I'm like, okay, there's a different bunch of people in this too, but I feel like it's mine. And there's other ones like I'm the guest star, you know.
no,
I
I
love
Okay.
it.
get that. That makes sense. And to answer your,
That's my feeling about it as well from my own perspective. So that's interesting.
no, it makes sense.
And Andy, are
Yeah,
you in?
yeah, no.
Okay, I didn't
So,
know.
yeah, no. I just recently, so no. So this was like a while back. So I had submitted a piece to this place called Silent Spark Press, right? So they had these ebooks that that you could do subscriptions. So my piece, from your youngest son, which was a poem by my dad, was featured in that subscription thing, which you could download it or whatever. And you could choose, whether you want to continue or you just want to just download that book, and that's it. All right, cool. And then I
So
got a
that's more
text.
like an e-zine? Is that like just more like an e-zine than
I
an
think
actual?
no. So yeah, no. I'm gonna get to that, and then
Okay.
so it started off there, and then I got a text message from them maybe like a couple of months later, say, hey, we have this anthology called Beautiful Poetry Volume 33, and we want to feature your piece, which is the same piece I submitted. I was like, okay, yeah, sure, that's great, and it just came out March 20th. So that's my first actual. That's my first actual thing that got published in a compilation that's outside of Instagram, because they don't have a thing on Instagram. They have a thing on Facebook, but their main thing is like on their website. So that was like outside of Instagram, and that's because I found that through Submittable. That's the only reason why I found that.
Right.
Oh, Tara, can I
Okay.
ask your opinion on Submittable versus Patreon? Do you have an opinion on those?
Well, no, but those isn't that two different things though? Because Submittable is when you're submitting stuff, yeah, and then
Yeah,
Patreon is
different.
it's like a social media for you, though, technically, no?
I understand.
I actually used to be a patron on Patreon, so I had followed multiple people that I did pay to see their art, and I really loved it. I actually closed my Patreon down when Patreon in 2020 was closing down a bunch of people's accounts on there because they didn't like what they were saying politically. And I have a big problem with that.
Oh,
Freedom of
wow.
expression is one of the most important things. It's not a right. It's like, it's you can't take a human's freedom of expression away. And so when Patreon did that, I shut my account down. I was like, I'm not, because they get money for it too. And I'm like, I'm not supporting Patreon in any way, shape, or form. It's one reason why I'm a huge believer in WordPress over Wix. It's the same thing.
I was just about to ask you.
WordPress is all about freedom of expression. They will not take your page down, even if it's very questionable content. They believe in that, and what you write is your own content. Wix, on the other hand, specifically says if they don't like your content, they can take it down anytime they want. I have a big problem.
Get the heck out of here.
So
I do that.
So, anyways,
that is protecting things that
that's
that's protecting words that's against what again, like that goes both ways. When it comes to freedom of the spoken word. So
So
I like that it's not controlled by anybody. Then the person it's their own words, whether you like them or not, whether you agree with it or not. It's their words, and nobody's going to modify that. And that's what you're saying.
Amen.
So I did used to do Patreon. Now Submittable, that is where you can both publishers and writers can go on there, that you can search and see if there's something you could submit to. I personally do not like Submittable.
Okay.
It's just, I do know that there's plenty of other publishers who prefer to do it that way. To me, it's very impersonal.
You don't find it. Okay.
I do not use Submittable. I have looked into it because in fact, I had someone say, hey, why don't you use Submittable for your next anthology? And that would probably really help. And I said, but then it's too impersonal. I write every single person personally. I have a personal relationship with every person. I talk to them and everything.
Wow.
That's important
deep
to me.
Yeah.
That's deep.
And so I'm not a robot. You're not a robot. I'm not going to treat you like one. And I'm going to treat you as if you're in my living or you're in my kitchen and I'm serving you apple pie while we're talking about your book.
Now that is can I say it, Leon? Should I say it now or later?
Please say your line.
I'm going to say it, yes. Now that's a sexy situation right there. And my wife is probably going to be like, I hate when you say that. Because my wife hates when I say that. I annoy the crap out of my wife when I say that. But that is a sexy situation.
I'm just saying, and I'm not saying that other people who use Submittable are wrong. I'm saying it's not my way. It's not me personally. I'm going to sit there, and if you submit a book to me, I'm going to say, if it's not very clean or something like that, I'm going to say, well, what story are you trying to tell, or what's the point of this? Talk to me about this. I'm going to read your other work. I'm going to go look at your website or your Instagram or wherever you post, and I'm going to look at that, because see, I only publish people I personally believe in. If I don't think, and I have the right, it's my business. I have the right to say, I only want to work with people who want to work with me. So, and I actually have one author where I said to them, because it seemed like they weren't liking working with me, and I gave them an ultimatum, and I said, listen, if you don't want to work with me, let's tear up this contract and we'll be done with it. And I said, no hard feelings. We'll just say that we're not working together. And he came back and said, no, actually, no, we're good. We're good. And I said, all right.
Wow.
Because if one of my authors, we have contracts, but if
that's important. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Say Greg or someone said, you know what, Tara, I'm not liking how this is working out. Will you unpublish my book? While legally I could say, no, I have the right to keep, we've signed a contract. I would say, yeah, sure. Here's your book back. Go publish it with someone else. I don't care, because we're people. We're not contracts. We're not pieces of paper. We have hearts. We have feelings, and we change. That's the other thing. Maybe you like working with me, and then you find out maybe you don't want to work with me anymore. Well, then you have the right to say to me, listen, Tara, I'm not, I don't like where your company's going. I don't like how this is working out. Okay. It's no hard feelings on my part. I don't mind.
Well,
that's
as far as everybody we've spoken to that have had books come out by your, wonderful working habits and relationships.
Yeah, it's been nothing but positive.
Incredible things.
Yeah.
Incredible things about you. And I think that really comes from that aspect that you are human. You treat us like humans. And if Caribou publishes your work, she fucking believes in you.
And I would say, personally, from my own personal experience, every time I've worked with Tara, like if and I can say this personally, if ever I had a question, if ever I was confused, whether it came to like royalties or just the type of format or any other things that she needed or that I needed to feel comfortable, Tara has always been an open door to say, hey, if you have, and she's always said, hey, if you have any questions, if you're not sure, if you're uncomfortable, reach out to me. Let's talk about it. And I respect that wholeheartedly, because there's so many people like that, publishers, as she was saying before, that they will not do that with you. You will just have to figure it out, find it out.
Yep.
Or that's so true what you're saying.
I'm not like that.
And that's good. It's good to know that they can go to a publisher like yourself and know, okay, then there is some real intimacy. And, intimacy, I think, comes in different shapes and forms. So I feel like this is a form of intimacy that you're building that bond, that relationship with your client. Because, you're not just a client. You're someone that I believe in. That's why I said yes to you kind of thing. Same thing with what Greg was saying. He said, you know what? I want to publish your piece. And I think that's, like, even Greg said it, like, you're building that trust, and that's important. I feel like a lot of businesses fail at that these days. I feel like a lot of businesses don't really know what that is anymore. And I don't know if it's lost, it's rather it's distorted, and it sucks that this is what it's come down to, So it's good that you are like that,
Yeah. And I will say to anybody that's listening, if you are considering publishing, I know that some of all of us have been considering what we're going to do with our own work. I mean, we're really hearing from you that real personal aspect that, I am going to do what it takes, and I'm going to be honest, and I'm really fighting for you, and it's real. And I felt that from you when you said that helping, like, Braden Michaels and, Greg Manzi, and of course, Brandon, White, that you felt so good helping them achieve their goals. It was almost better than making your own dreams come true. And I felt that.
Yeah,
and that's the
true.
same kind of like any educator and stuff like that. It's all about pushing that next group forward so they get more advanced. The next group gets more advanced, and we all are working together. Like Tara, that I really feel that from you. And I hear that a lot of these box places, or even some of our small publishing houses, they don't feel that same way.
Yeah,
I really appreciate you,
and that might work for some
everything
people.
You said. Yeah,
that might work for some people.
Different.
I have one author. He's a vanity publisher. He's got, I don't know, 11 or 12 books out, and everyone's from a different publisher, and that's just how he is. He doesn't really communicate or anything, and that's okay. That's what he wanted to do, and that's, again, he doesn't care if it's a personal. He goes, I said, how do you feel about this cover? And he goes, yep, looks good. And that was it,
see, okay, like, I get it. I get it, but I
remake the cover 20 times. So.
Yeah, like, I get it, but I don't get it. I get it because, okay, I guess he figured he don't want to hurt no one's feelings, but I don't get it because I'm like, okay, because let's say the cover is legitimately trash, and then you're pretty much lying to me saying, like, okay, it's good, and it's like, okay, but what if it's really not good? Like, it's like saying, like, with the rapper, like, okay, like, people say, oh, you're a good rapper, but then I hear you, and I think I don't think you're that good, but if I don't tell you, that's messed up because I'm lying to you and I'm being dishonest with you. I'm not being truthful to you. I'm not being true to myself.
And, it doesn't just hurt the other person. It hurts you too. If you're lying to somebody to quote unquote spare their feelings, you're actually burning something inside of yourself as well. I don't see the point in lying. I think there's a nice way to say something. But, if someone says, and I've had to do this, it's not the easiest thing to do. I had one lady send me her manuscript and I had to sit down and write a very nice letter to her and say, listen, you're calling it this, but it's actually this. You really, there's a lot of work you'd need to do before I'd consider publishing this. And I tried to give her some pointers of what I would personally look for in it or whatever. But it's hard to sit there and tell someone the truth. But listen, if you can't just tell everyone they can do anything. Sometimes you got to say, well, maybe practice.
Everybody's baby is beautiful, but there are some ugly babies out there.
Wow, of all things you could have used as an analogy, Angela. Oh my God! But I get you.
Sorry,
I get you.
The thing is,
I'm sensitive.
I've made book covers for people, and they're like, "No, I don't like that. It's not what I want. Not my vision." And that's okay. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I want that, and I say, "You're not going to hurt my feelings. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. If I can get a feel for what you like, we're going to work together as a team. But if you sit here, my whole goal is that when the product is done, when the book is done, they walk away super proud of something that they can be proud of. They can say, I did this. I made this. This is my book. Not like, oh, yeah, well, I made a book. I want that same passion that they had in their writing.
Exactly.
In the book.
They want to go to
that
sleep.
means we have to communicate and tell the truth.
No doubt. Yes. I definitely agree with everything you just said. And again, this is what it all comes down to is just, this is truthfulness. It's very important, So with that being said, because we are reaching towards the end. But I feel like Leon, you had something you wanted to say, and I'm sorry I keep cutting you off. I just pulled an Angela, but yeah, sorry, Angela.
I just wanted to say this before we had to end. I found the poem.
Oh yes, please, definitely read the poem.
Found the poem. No, but can we before we end it? Can I read the poem? So the poem that's been in demand is called "Do You See Me?" And I wrote this in 2020. Do you see me beyond my skin? Beyond the indoctrinated mind control that society has you conditioned? Do you see me holding out my hands, hoping you listen? Because maybe this side of them you won't see as so suspicious. Do you see me hoping I don't become another statistic to the system that still enslaves and treats us like chattel in jail or prison? Do you see me? Because this world seems it has some blurry vision. It's 2020, yet I still feel whips of hateful disposition. Do you see me? Upset I have to repeat this message in repetition. Hands up, don't shoot, praying I don't become another victim. Do you see me? Beyond the muddled biases in my heart that feels riotous is due to I can't live in peace in quietness. Do you see me? Centuries of boiled over pain where the blood of my ancestors cry out from injustices that still remain. Do you see me? Maybe I need to scream this out because we tried begging, pleading, serving, pleasing. Now we're just going to shout. Do you see me? Now I don't give a damn. I still believe in nonviolence, but you will hear me, man. Do you see me? My soul screams in passion because maybe it will have to take this for change to happen. Do you see me? Matter of fact, do you even see you? Look at the problem that we're in. Because change, true change, can only start with you. Do you see me? Do you see me? Do you see me? And do you see you?
Wow.
I don't think I can say anything right now.
Yeah, I'm done.
And really let that sink in. What a horrible way to really wrap up this whole situation.
That's it. I retire. That's it. I'm done.
Tara, can you help us out?
I retire from poetry. That's it. I'm done.
Tara, can you help us?
No, I can't.
I retire from poetry. That's it. I give up. I'm not doing anything ever again. Thanks a lot, Leon. That was so powerful.
Leon gets the last word.
Yes.
Leon, I am going to say this. I've read that, and listening to you say it, to actually read it out with your emotion and your voice and everything is even more powerful. We've talked about how important our words are, and really good to hear you say that.
Wow. Yeah. What she said.
Thank you very much.
I have nothing else to say, bro.
No. Mm-mm.
And that's the show for you, folks.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you, Leon. And thank you, Andy, for what an incredible conversation. It never ceases to amaze me how incredible our opportunities to just dialogue with artists, creators, publishers, artists, everyone, human beings. Every time we talk to somebody, it's just been an incredible, eye-opening, heartwarming conversation and life learning and a lot of lessons, a lot of good tips, a lot of amazing things happened today. Andy, thank you for always setting these amazing things up.
No, I mean, listen, it's.
Tara, thank you.
I mean, you keep saying me. It's not me. It's all of us. Because honestly, maybe I might have started this podcast years ago, but.
I'll call you the calendar guy.
The calendar
guy.
Wait,
you set it up. You scheduled it. The calendar guy. You scheduled it.
Oh my god.
That's why I say you set it up, man.
No, I know. I appreciate you for that. I really do. I try to take the credit off me. This is all of
you for that.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I appreciate you guys saying yes. So since Leon just threw the pipe bomb and dropped the nuke, why don't you end this, bro?
So I would like to end off on a high note, as good news for anyone who's listening, whether you're listening in the future. I hope that you enjoyed our beautiful interview with the lovely, amazing, talented Tara Caribou. Look up Raw Earth Inc., which is her website and page, if you want to see more of her amazing work and see the upcoming projects that she has. And also, we hope that a word said, whatever was said in this, may inspire you or encourage you in whatever your creative endeavors may be, or that you just have found enlightenment. And as always, from Andy, Angela, Marie, and me, Leon Jones, I hope that you continue to listen to Unraveled Influence.
You really struggled to say that, didn't you? Unraveled Influence, yes. No, so guys, thank you for tuning in to this conversation. Thank you so much, Tara, for doing this part 2 with us and just being a part of this journey with us. I know, and again, the fact that you got positive feedback from that, to me, that puts a smile on my face. I almost dropped my mic. That puts a smile on my face. That just means, okay, you know what? We're in the right direction, and I thank you for that. And, may the Lord continue to bless each and every one of you guys. I appreciate you guys. And honestly, I wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you so much for this.